You're watching Newsday TV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Bufa. A man is dead and 2 families are without a home after a fire in Mattituck. 6 fire departments responded to the call just before 10 a.m. 13 people lived at the address, which is next to a lumber yard. Now, there's no word yet on what sparked those flames. And attorneys say President-elect Donald Trump's sentencing in his hush money trial can be postponed, but should not be dismissed. That was the recommendation set in a letter from the Manhattan's DA's office to the judge in the case. Now that means Trump could be sentenced after his presidential term instead of on November 26th. Trump's lawyers want his conviction tossed out. He was found guilty of falsifying business records to cover up $130,000 in payments to a porn star who says she had an affair with Trump. And the MTA may implement another fare hike in the new year. The MTA's operating expenses will reach nearly $20 billion next year. The plan includes a 4% increase on fares and tolls in 2025 and 2027. It will be voted on next month. And only in Newsday, the husband of a doctor who died after eating at a Disney Springs restaurant is looking for answers. The Plainview man is asking a judge to test the leftovers from Raglan Road, which he kept in a frozen sample of. Now, the woman allegedly told the servers multiple times about her allergies. The widower is suing Walt Disney Parks and Resorts for wrongful death and is looking for $50,000 in damages. And a community theater is coming to downtown Glen Cove. North Shore Village Theater signed a lease at the former location of Charles Hardware Store. The space will hold 150 seats, a lobby, and a bar area. It's expected to open in spring of next year. And the Jets, well, they fired general manager Joe Douglas. Now, the team owner, Woody Johnson, decided to let go Douglas during their bye week. The Jets went 30-64 with no playoff appearances under Douglas. The shakeup comes 7 weeks after head coach Robert Saleh was fired. So, what does this change mean for Aaron Rodgers and the futures with the team?
Aaron Rodgers has said he thinks he wants to play next season. I think he always wanted to play next season, but at the time when he was more, adamant about wanting to play, Robert Saleh was the coach. Joe Douglas was the general manager. They were expected to be a good team. Now, who knows? Who knows who's coming in here, what kind of system they're going to run. He's 41 years old in a few weeks. He hasn't looked as good as he did, with Green Bay. So if he plays next season, there's no guarantee it's going to be for the Jets. And there's really no guarantee he's going to play next season anyway, because he has not played to Aaron Rodgers, level of play this year.
Lots of questions, and you can read more about the Jets at Newsday.com. Click Get More for the Newsday TV video box.
Newsday Sports is brought to you by King O'Rourke Automotive Group.
A Long Island team beat the odds to get back on the field. Jolie Katzen has a story you'll see only in Newsday.
The Palumbo family lives by the mantra, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And Clark field hockey player Rebecca is the proof. In January, Rebecca was diagnosed with stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma after doctors found a 5-pound tumor on her right ovary.
I remember the sonogram being a really long process, and then I went to my first MRI, then they were like, we need a second MRI, and then I was like, yeah, something's up. When I found out it was cancer, it was scary.
After removing her right ovary and appendix, but choosing to leave the left ovary, Rebecca endured 6 rounds of chemotherapy. But somehow, she always kept a positive attitude.
It was like you couldn't even tell. She was sick, but she always had a smile on her face.
Rebecca was pronounced cancer-free on April 15th, and the first thing on her mind was regaining her strength in time for the field hockey season.
At school, a lot of people were saying I wouldn't be back in time, and to me, it was, I'm gonna prove every single one of you wrong.
And it was right here in this room where Rebecca's comeback story began.
The biggest thing that went through my mind What can I do to get her to where she needs to get?
For the next 4 months, Rebecca, with the help of her father, trained every day, sometimes even twice a day, in preparation for that first game.
I wouldn't be where I am today without him. He seriously motivated me when I didn't think I could do it on my own.
And the hard work paid off. Rebecca started every game and even helped her team reach the Nassau semifinals.
It's gonna sound crazy, but I never doubted her. I just didn't. I mean, she's that kid. She's just different.
Jolie Katzen, Newsday TV.
What an incredible young girl. Now you can read more about Rebecca's story. Just go to newsday.com, click Get More, below the Newsday TV video box. All right, how about a guide to a weekend getaway in Miami? The adventures of Scott Vogel continue.
Put the partying and carousing of your past life behind you, and you'll find yourself in a very different Miami. A place of elegance, of beauty, both natural and man-made. Let the rest of the world flirt and preen on South Beach, especially when there are places where you'll be the youngest one on the beach, and sometimes the only one on the beach. You can finally relax, restore, and be yourself, for better or worse. For you, Miami's exotic tropical flora is usually a mere abstraction, but not this time. Not at Fairchild Tropical Garden, the sanctuary that is the enormous indoor garden dedicated to an equally enormous number of butterfly species from all over the world, and the intermittent terrors posed by invasive species. Here, even sunscreen application has a graceful, balletic quality to it, and there's nothing you'd rather do than unwind, recline, and settle in with that book you've been meaning to read. In this gentler Miami, you find yourself perfectly content to end the day with a celebratory cocktail at the Eden Rock Bar, a handsome relic of another age that's as far from the hullabaloo as you can get. Or do you dive into Little Havana like the rest of the world with its dizzying streetscapes and nightlife? You're drawn to Calle Ocho like a moth to a flame. There's dancing in the street, everybody's puffing on Havana's finest cigars, the smoke billows and curls into the sky, and literally everything is set to a salsa soundtrack. The rhythm's so infectious you can't help but join in. No, you'd rather be far from the madding crowd, separated by an entire bay from Miami's bustling downtown. It's more than a beach. It's spellbinding artistry, its windwood walls, and its inspiring transformation from one of the city's toughest neighborhoods into a gigantic outdoor art gallery, the greatest collection of street art in the world. You're drawn to the design district as well, where pedestrian-friendly streets lead to dozens of high-end boutiques and whimsical installations. But in Miami, you can even find solace while shopping, especially at Upper Buena Vista, a nearby outdoor mall that sits beneath a banyan tree and actually bills itself as a place to relax. At Joe's, the servers are in fine attire and the stone crabs are finer still, with all the sweetness, succulence, and messiness that implies. How else to end the perfect day? Or is it the noise and electricity of Ocean Drive, that thoroughfare awash in neon art deco, sidewalk cafes, and South American tourists, where the scent of black paella is in the air and letting loose is mandatory? That street of dreams where every night's a party and the evenings never end till you've done at least one thing you're not proud of. Life is a perpetual exercise in deciding how to live. Should I be old or young? Zany or zen? Hatted or hatless? Important questions all. Just don't go to Miami looking for answers. You'll come back even more confused than before.
Now for more on planning a trip to Miami, go to newsday.com, click Get More, below Newsday TV video box. Now, it may not be Miami weather, but let's take a look at your Long Island weather. Still no rain yet, but it is on the way, folks. Don't you worry, it'll be here before you know it. So tonight, we're in the mid-40s. Tomorrow, it's fairly warmish with the high 50s. We have mostly cloudy skies overhead for tomorrow. Now let's look at that 7-day forecast where we can mention that rain that we need for these dry conditions. You can see Thursday, Friday, rain is on the way. Hopefully that'll help with these brush fires that keep popping up all over the place. Saturday, Sunday looks dry but windy.
Long Island weather is brought to you by PTRC.
You're watching Newsday TV. I'm Ken Buffa. Thank you so much for joining us.